Coup Part 4. Kenny began to reload his weaponry as Rod and the others were getting ready for the ritual, to say the least. But the man was getting a little worried. Whatever was in his weapons was now inside that Annie girl. Will it kill her? Will it burn her? What happens if he tries to steal the new butchered serum and try it on himself? Would it really provide the edge needed to go against the Metal Titans? He wasn't exactly trusting Rod's judgment, unlike Curry's. Kenny finished loading his weapon before pulling the broken hilt of the sword dropped during the pursuit of Levi and the other Survey Corps members out of his strap pocket. He's never seen or heard of that swordsman before. Especially one that would join the Survey Corps. He seemed like an outlaw. Kenny tapped the broken sword against his chin. It wasn't the Metal Titan. He knew that. He was informed the Titan's color scheme was red and blue. Not straight up gray like the other one. Wait a minute, Kenny thought. The same time that the flying Titan appeared, the swordsman showed up, and the Metal Titan was shown to have a human form. Maybe. Kenny looked down at the sword and saw his reflection. It's a suspicion for right now, nothing more, but it might possibly be true. It just probably wasn't a good idea to tell Rod, maybe not ever. Rod seemed to be slipping into madness, and he wasn't going to get the opportunity to grab the power of the Titans if he didn't. Optimus' form was still outside of the castle as the sun rose up. The Prime adjusted his side view mirrors before deciding to transform and stretch his legs. As the Prime raised his arms over his head, he thought about Berthold and the dark energon infecting his body. He doesn't have that much time to live. He had no way of liquefying energon because he doesn't have the resources necessary. The one chance of gaining information about the Titans may be lost to them since Berthold intends to take the secret to his grave. What was he supposed to do? Finding Annie was their best option, but he doesn't know where to look. If she is kidnapped, she's most likely somewhere in Walsina with Rod Rice. The Survey Corps were too busy finding Ren. He doesn't think they have time to find her. But maybe. Optimus shook his head. No, that was foolish. He couldn't trust Megatron. Why would he send him to find her? Optimus thought back at the boy and sighed. It wasn't like they had many options, and Megatron would be far away from the children. The Prime stopped stretching and opened his comm. Link channel to contacted Megatron. What is it, Prime? Megatron demanded. I'm sleeping. Where? Optimus questioned. In the outermost wall, Megatron answered. I'm not a fool, Optimus. I know I'm not allowed to reveal my form to any other humans. Now why is it that you called? I am asking you to find Annie Linhart, Optimus answered. Optimus was met with silence on the other end of the comm. An odd request. Berthold Hoover is running out of time because of the dark energon in his system, and he intends to take the secret to his grave, Optimus explained. The only other person who knows the secret of the Titans is her. If there is a possibility that she is even alive, we must find her. Fine, Megatron said, I'll inform the dwarf. Megatron, I need you to do this on your own, Optimus declared. Again, an odd request, Megatron remarked. Shouldn't the dwarf know about what you're ordering me to do? Or your commander? Optimus didn't respond to the question. You didn't tell any of them, Megatron realized before chuckling. My, not like you to keep secrets. I cannot allow the humans to be in danger, Optimus declared, and we need her. You do understand that this is their conflict, right? Megatron retorted. You can't just try to leave them out of it. I know, Optimus sighed, but... Stop believing that it is your fault, Megatron ordered. That's been a terrible habit of yours. Look, I'll do it, but if I get caught, you better think of something. You can kill the humans that get in your way, Optimus said. I meant the soldiers, Megatron corrected. They are not going to be happy that I've operated on my own. Then make sure you think of something, Optimus suggested. You're no stranger to the art of deception. I am trying to leave that part behind. Megatron, Optimus began. Alright, fine, Megatron hissed, I'll report back by the end of the day. Optimus heard static on the other end of the line before it went dead. Megatron was right. He should have told Erwin and Hanji about this. But why didn't he? That's not it, Erwin proclaimed. I've had a different motivation for joining the Survey Corps. What did Erwin mean by that? What other motivation could Erwin have for joining the Corps other than fighting for humanity? Does Hanji know? Does Levi know? They were the closest to Erwin. Erwin, what could you possibly be hiding? Optimus thought. Optimus. Mobility called out as he walked out of the hideout. The commander need to talk to you about what to plan next. I will meet you inside, Optimus informed the man. Mobility nodded his head before walking back inside. Optimus looked to the skies in the direction of Cena. He hoped to Primus Megatron wouldn't screw this up. Megatron activated his holoform and walked towards the cart hidden behind the abandoned warehouse the Survey Corps remained in from the previous night. The ex-con looked behind the warehouse and noticed the members were not in sight. That should give him enough time to grab what he needed and go. He didn't want to deal with the dwarf. He didn't trust him and he annoyed him. Megatron rummaged through the supplies and grabbed his shield, slinging it across his back. He didn't have a sword anymore, which frustrated him to no end. He could make do without it just fine, but he was more comfortable with it than without. Megatron took the sheath of the former sword and placed it over his shoulder before placing a rifle inside the sheath. The ex-con then picked up the two pistols before placing the one that wasn't broken at his side. He opened the revolver of the one that broke during the last battle and checked to see if it was loaded. He had to make sure the gun didn't break on his during combat or get lost. If the enemy figured out about the technology, regardless of how primitive it was, it would prove to be a disadvantage. Megatron. The former warlord snapped out of his thoughts as he aimed the pistol at the sound. Megatron slightly lowered his hand as he noticed the Ackerman aiming her rifle at him. What do you want? Megatron asked as he lowered his arm completely. The Ackerman noticed the rifle and shield on his back. What are you doing? Megatron didn't look at her as he placed the pistol at his side. Let's just say I'm going scouting. The Ackerman lowered her rifle and placed on her back. Why would you need to do that? You can see from above, right? I could probably do a quick scan but not get a closer look, Megatron explained, but apparently, none of you know the layout of the area. I could get a head start and report back. Possibly find where the History Girl and Prime's pet are. Megatron noticed a hint of fury in the girl's eyes but didn't say anything regarding it. So then, I shall be on my way. I'm going with you, the Ackerman declared. Megatron stopped in his tracks and looked back at her. No humans allowed. I'm not an ordinary human, the Ackerman declared. Megatron chuckled as he leaned against a tree. The last time I heard that from a human, his most powerful device burned in re-entry in Earth's atmosphere because he couldn't kill a 12-year-old child. What makes you so certain that you would be able to kill when it comes down to it? I killed someone when I was 9 because he almost sold me to become a sex slave, the Ackerman declared as she walked up to him, and anyone who is a threat to my friends is a threat to me. Human or Titan. Impressive, Megatron admitted, but I'm still not bringing you. The dwarf is going to notice you're gone, and while I know I can take him down, I'm not going to say that he won't be able to do some damage to this form. I actually hate the shorty, the Ackerman stated, but the form of yours has a limit. What happens when it gives out in battle and someone sees? You got lucky the last time you fought with that cover, but you're going alone. You need someone to cover you in case if the form stops working. Megatron thought it over. The Ackerman did have a point. If his form gives out during battle, the other side will know that there's another metal titan on their side. Not to mention the Ackerman was the only human here that tolerated him and was willing to kill humans without any problems. There was also the fact he was given no description of what Lionheart looked like. He could use her as confirmation when he found her. Megatron walked up to the Ackerman and placed the pistol that wasn't damaged in her hand. I expect full cooperation, and that you are fully ready to defend yourself and kill others. Do you understand me, Ackerman? The Ackerman looked down at the gun in her hand before looking at him and nodding her head. Armin sat down next to a tree where Levi, Nifa, and the rest of his friends were making plans to move during the night. Armin said that he wasn't feeling well and Levi allowed him to sit out for the time being until he was feeling. The recruit looked at the pouch of water in his hand and drank a little more from it before wiping his mouth. He thought back to what happened yesterday as he had more conflicting thoughts go through his mind. What was Megatron's endgame? Why would Megatron stay on a planet with a race he despises? He even saved Jean from dying, only to punch him for his incompetence. But besides that, there was nothing that was keeping the Decepticon here. He had all the freedom in the world. There shouldn't be anything keeping him here. Right? Armin shook his head before standing up and telling Levi he was going to get more water. He made his way towards the small stream, hiding behind a tree and filling the pouch with water. Armin caught something out of the corner of his eye and turned to see Megatron's holoform with a rifle and shield jump over the stream and make his way into the forest with Mikasa? Armin thought with dread as Mikasa followed Megatron into the forest. She was going to get killed if she followed him. He had to stop her. Megatron looked down at the Ackerman as they continued walking through the forest. So how exactly did you kill the man who almost sold you? The two heard a twig snap behind them and turned their rifles onto the source. Mikasa slightly gasped while Megatron raised an eyebrow as Armin put his hands up. Armin, what are you doing? Mikasa demanded. What am I doing? Armin exclaimed. Did I really not hear you? Megatron questioned before sighing. I'm getting old or I'm losing it. Mikasa, why are you going with him? Armin demanded. She asked. Megatron answered, I'm merely scouting out the area and she wanted to come. Levi's going to notice that she's gone, Armin retorted, you can't just take her with you. Armin, I can defend myself, Mikasa declared as she walked up to him, just go back to Levi, I'll be fine. Mikasa! Armin exclaimed as he put his hands on her shoulders before whispering, he's dangerous, and you can get killed. I can handle myself, Mikasa repeated. She's the only human here that seems to tolerate my existence and is willing to kill humans without hesitation, Megatron added. Armin stared Megatron down as he let Mikasa go. If this is such a simple scouting mission, then why bring Mikasa? You can simply do it yourself, can't you? This form does have limit, Megatron retorted. I need someone to cover for me in case if that happens. I believe Ackerman should be able to take care of that when the situation arises. But what if she get kidnapped? Armin demanded. What if she get killed? Unless if she has any hesitation to kill, she should be fine, Megatron answered. Now run back to the dwarf. We have work to do. Mikasa looked back at Armin one more time before deciding to follow Megatron into the forest. Armin quickly thought over the information before taking a step and speaking up. You're lying, Armin declared. Megatron stopped in his tracks and glared at Armin. Lying? You don't care for humans, Armin began. You're going scouting in human territory to give us some kind of head start seems like nonsense. Meanwhile, you bring another human during your scouting. If you're scouting, why bring weapons? Why bring another human into the crossfire if you're trying to avoid engaging the enemy? That's the whole point of scouting. And what if you're wrong? Megatron asked. Armin felt his hands shake as he took a deep breath. La. Armin felt something cover his mouth and felt his heart beat faster as he realized it was Megatron who rushed towards him and stopped him. That meant ... he was right. This was more than a scouting mission. If you ruin this, I swear. Megatron stopped as he felt a gun placed at the side of his head. The two both glanced over to see Mikasa aiming the pistol Megatron gave her at his head. Armin noticed Mikasa's expression resembling that of a feral beast. Well, Megatron began, it seems I finally got an emotion out of you. Let him go. Mikasa ordered. I don't trust him to not talk to the dwarf about what I'm doing, Megatron declared. Regardless of what he says to Levi, I don't care, Mikasa said. I care more about the fact that you're going to physically hurt Armin. I told you we would be fine as long as you didn't hurt my friends. Armin is my family. If you so much as lay a scratch on him, I will destroy that form to the point that you wouldn't use it for the next week. Mikasa pulled down the hammer on gun. I won't hesitate to hurt anyone that gets in my way. Megatron merely blinked while Armin looked back and forth between the two. He didn't know how long Mikasa would be able to hold her own against the warlord. If she did try to take him on, he would no doubt kill her. The silence seemed to hang over them for an eternity before Megatron sighed in irritation. You're lucky I tolerate you. Armin grunted as Megatron pushed him to the ground. Mikasa took the pistol away from his head and ran to Armin's side and helped him to his feet. So then ... what are you really doing? Armin demanded. Megatron stared at Armin before rolling his eyes and sighing in irritation. Optimus asked me to go find Lionheart. Lionheart? Mikasa questioned. Any? Armin said, why would he ask you that? The other creature is dying because of the dark energon in his system, Megatron explained, meaning any idea of where these titans come from or why this rice once Prime's pet will most likely be lost. I speculated Lionheart may have been kidnapped by your government, so Optimus asked me to go look for her by myself. Then why take Mikasa if you were supposed to go by yourself? Armin demanded. I don't know what the girl looks like, Megatron answered. Ackerman is the perfect candidate to go with me because she's actually willing to kill humans, unlike the rest of you cadets. Why doesn't Levi know? Armin demanded. Would you believe me if I told you Optimus didn't want anyone to know? Megatron asked. Why wouldn't he? I don't know, Megatron interrupted, clearly irritated. Enough with the questions. This is the first time I can't tell what's going through his head. Does he not want to get humans involved? Is questioning his loyalty? Does he just hate me that much to put me through this hell? I don't know. I'm just here to do a job. So do you intend to tell your Dwarfova captain, or do I have to fight the Ackerman to shut you up? Mikasa gritted her teeth as she aimed the pistol at him once more. She was about to pull the trigger, but Armin put a hand on her shoulder. No, Armin answered, I want to come with you. Armin! Mikasa exclaimed while Megatron laughed. Really? Megatron smirked, I don't think you're exactly fighting material. Would you prefer if I told Levi? Armin retorted. Megatron slightly growled in irritation at the name. No doubt the dwarf would try to stop him. Why do you want to come? What is it that you wish in return? Armin thought it over for a moment. I get to ask you a question. Mikasa looked at Armin in confusion while Megatron raised an eyebrow. Armin, however, saw this as a perfect opportunity. A perfect opportunity to figure out what Megatron's motivation was for helping humanity. A question? Really? Megatron deadpanned. I don't think you can offer me anything else, Armin retorted, but if I don't tell Levi, I get to ask you any question I want. No lies, no deception, just the honest truth. Well then, you better be specific about that question, Megatron declared as he walked up to him, because if you're not, I just might not answer you. There's also the case of this mission's success, or even if you make it out alive. I'll be willing to kill, and I'll make it out alive, Armin declared. Armin, go back to Levi, Mikasa begged. Armin shook his head before staring Megatron down. Is that a deal? Megatron looked Armin in the eyes before sighing in irritation and throwing the rifle on his back into his face. Armin clumsily caught the rifle before looking up at the Khan. Welcome to the mission, Pax, Megatron proclaimed as he turned his back on the two. Try to keep up. Megatron walked off into the forest while Mikasa quickly followed behind with Armin in tow. Hanji and Erwin went over the layout of the capital when Optimus walked in the room with his holoform intact. Erwin glanced over at the form while Hanji stood up. Hey, Hanji greeted, are you doing okay? I am more relaxed, Hanji, Optimus answered, thank you for asking. Good, Erwin said, we need to cut back to the matters at hand. Hanji sighed. Down to business, I see. Erwin, what were you planning from the beginning? Optimus asked. I would have allowed myself to be taken by the government, Erwin explained, and once I did, I would have found a way to expose the government for its twisted way by saying the colossal titan and armored titan broke through the wall and watch what they do. Pixis and Zackley were in on it as well. How the fuck did you get Zackley of all people? Hanji demanded. He agrees the government is corrupt as well, Erwin remarked before turning to Optimus, but now, we're going to have to improvise because you kidnapped me. There were multiple ways the plan could have gone wrong and ended in your death, Optimus retorted. The Survey Corps would have been labeled as terrorists and you all could have been executed. You don't know if that would have happened, Erwin proclaimed. I've seen it happen, Optimus declared, and I am not going to risk an all-out war with your kind because of your arrogance. Erwin took a deep breath and sighed. Optimus had more experience under him, that was something he couldn't deny, but they were running out of time and he had to think of something. Then what do you suggest? What are we supposed to do? The media, Optimus answered. The media is an outlet everyone trusts. If we can catch the government in the act and get the media to write about it, we might be able to overthrow the government. I do know where to go, Hanji declared. If we leave now, we could reach Walsina where they reside by night. But what about Reeves and Berthold? Erwin asked. Mobilid can watch Reeves until we figure something out, Hanji explained. I don't know about Berthold. He might be dead by the end of all of this because we couldn't get the Dark Energon out of his system. Optimus, you said that Energon should be able to counteract it, but exactly how were you able to find that out? Optimus was quiet for a moment. It was back on Earth. The Autobots and I were caught up by an impending crisis. One of our human allies was poisoned by Megatron with Dark Energon, and my medic managed to figure out that Energon would be the best solution to counteract it. Did he tell you how? Hanji asked. I mean, you did tell me liquefying Energon requires certain tools and is a pretty long process. Ratchet didn't use the traditional method, he was running too low on time, Optimus explained. He got the Energon from one of the ... Hanji, do you have a syringe by any chance? I think so, Hanji answered. Why? I am going to use my Energon to save Berthold, Optimus declared. Armin was terrified to say the least. The three of them may have been walking for an hour or so, with Armin following behind Mikaza while Megatron was in front of the both of them. Mikaza believed that there should be distance between the two, in case if something happened and she needed to protect Armin. For Armin, it was the first time seeing Mikaza show some form of disdain towards the former warlord. Maybe because he was in the way. Which brought him back to why he originally decided to join the two of them in the first place, to figure out what Megatron was fighting for? It wasn't for humanity, he knew that. Megatron has still shown some kind of aggression towards them and punched Gene after saving his life. But what would he ask? He couldn't say why are you helping humanity? It was too vague, it was a question Megatron could easily avoid. He could have said he was bored or something. Would it be redemption? Armin shook his head. Megatron seemed to have a lot of pride. He didn't think he'd be seeking for redemption, especially not here. If he wanted to seek redemption, he probably would have went to his homeworld to start, not a planet that he's never crossed before. So then why? Armin bumped into Mikaza while he was deep in thought. He looked up to see Megatron raising a hand, as if ordering them to stop. Armin was about to ask why, but noticed they were near someone's house with a woman outside tending to her garden on the edge of the fence. So what do we do? Mikaza asked Megatron. Megatron didn't answer as he watched the woman intently. When the woman turned her back on them, Megatron took off his shield and snatched the rifle out of Armin's hands before walking towards her. Wait, Mikaza quickly covered Armin's mouth before hiding the both of them behind a tree. Shit. What in God's name was he doing? The woman continued to tend to her garden, shoveling the dirt to make more room to grow her fruits. She suddenly felt a tap on her shoulder and looked up to see a man with gray hair wearing a brown hat and pants, along with a brown jacket and a rifle on his back. My apologies for troubling you, the man said before noticing her work seems tedious. It is, the woman declared as she stood up and wiped her hands of the dirt, but it does pay off in the long run. I've been trying to save up on some money, and so far it's been helpful. I see, the gray-haired man said. So what brings you here? The woman asked. Practice actually, the man said. My brother's children want to join the military, but before they do apply I wished to give them some experience of life inside certain areas of the walls. How to hunt, how to scout, what to do in certain situations. You're a good uncle, since you're willing to make them prepared for the dangers of joining the military, the woman said. The world does seem to be getting crazier by the minute. Frankly, I wouldn't agree with the fact that the world has gone mad, he said. I believe it's always been that way. I don't know, the woman shrugged off. So what can I help you with? Armin and Mikasa peeked over from behind the tree to see Megatron in different clothing having a casual conversation with another human being. Not to mention the well-thought-out lies he's been telling her. If Armin was hearing this from her end, he would have most likely believed him. Well, there is a chapel that no one really goes to anymore due to an incident 5 years ago, the woman explained. You could probably stay there for the night. It's pretty north from where we are right now. I don't understand, Megatron began. What incident are you talking about? 5 years ago, bandits pretty much ransacked the place, burned it to the ground, and killed everyone in the Rice family except for Rod Rice, the woman explained. Well, if the place has already been ransacked, I doubt there would be bandits there again, Megatron said. If you want, I can provide you with some food, the woman said. That's appreciated, but this is a training exercise for the children, Megatron explained. If they wish to survive in dire circumstances, they must learn how to survive on even the smallest of meals. Well then, I wish the best for you three, the woman said. And thank you for taking your time to help me, Megatron said as he slightly bowed. Armin and Mikasa noticed Megatron beckoning them to come to him. Mikasa quickly covered the shield with her cloak before going towards the con. Armin waved a quiet hello to the woman while Mikasa continued to walk forward when Megatron made his way up north. Optimus. Hanji called out as Optimus stood in his bipedal mode with his right hand transformed into his blade. Are you sure about this? This is the only way that we can keep Bertholdt alive, Optimus declared. Shouldn't we kill him? Hanji demanded. He's a threat to humanity. But also the only one who has an idea about the secrets of the Titans, Optimus said. I can use this to bargain with him to figure out those secrets. Make sure to have the syringe ready. Hanji nodded her head as she adjusted her gloves and grabbed the syringe. Optimus then gripped the blade with his left hand and made a small cut on his skin. He removed the blade and transformed it back into his servo. He kneeled down and showed Hanji the wound slowly leaking energon. Hanji quickly used the syringe and filled it up with the contents. What are you going to ask him? Hanji questioned as Optimus wiped the energon leaking to slow the process. I'm not entirely sure, Optimus admitted. I do have an idea of what to ask him, however, I need to make sure that it is clear and concise, or else Bertholdt may simply avoid the question. Bertholdt stared up at the ceiling of his cell, trying to drown out the thoughts of death and suicide from his mind which seemed to be amplified by whatever was in his body. He adjusted his form on the bed and looked at his infected arm. If only he could get out of this cell, then maybe he could say goodbye to them all one more time. Bertholdt Hoover, a familiar voice spoke. Bertholdt turned his head to see Optimus sitting down in front of his cell with his arms crossed and something in his hand that he couldn't make out. Bertholdt sighed as he sat up from the bed. I already told you that I won't say anything, and you interrogating me and torturing me isn't going to make much of a difference. But I know what will, Optimus declared. Bertholdt felt an unsettling feeling rise in his stomach as Optimus moved the holoform's hand to reveal a syringe of blue energon. Are you going to poison me, you bastard? Bertholdt demanded as he backed away. Quite the opposite, Optimus answered. What you have in your systems is dark energon, a deadly force of nature for both Autobots and Decepticons alike. The only reason you have it in your systems is because of the flying titan firing at you when he arrived. Bertolt grimaced at the thought of that monster. Having dark energon in your systems for this long should have killed you, Optimus continued, but your regenerative power is keeping the dark substance from doing so. It is only a matter of time, however, before the dark energon completely shuts down your body. The only thing that can neutralize it is my life force. The very substance that you see in my hand will be the only thing that will save you from death. I do not know for how long, given your condition, but I do know the energon will neutralize the dark energon and stop it from killing you. Bertolt felt a swell of hope and desperation rise in him as he bolted to the metal bars and tried to grab the syringe, but Optimus merely extended his hand back to prevent the teen from reaching it. "Give it to me," Bertolt demanded. "Not yet," Optimus said, "I am here to bargain with you. If you do not answer 3 of my questions, then you will not get this." 2, Bertolt declared, "I'm not answering 3. Optimus tightened his grip on the syringe. "I am not the one running out of time." Bertolt gripped the bars in fear, afraid that Optimus would break the syringe and the energon would be gone. "Fine, I'll answer 3. Optimus loosened his grip on the syringe and slightly relaxed. "My first question, how is Zeke able to control the Titans?" Bertolt stiffened. "You don't even know who Zeke is." "You mentioned that I harmed Zeke and Reiner," Optimus explained, "and the only other Titan shifter that I've encountered is the Beast Titan, so I could only surmise that the two are one and the same. So how is Zeke able to control the Titans?" "To be honest, no one knows," Bertolt admitted. "He was always considered gifted, even called a miracle child. Everyone tried figuring it out but no one knows." Optimus didn't say anything as he took the information in. One question was unfortunately wasted, and he had to make sure the other 2 provided some sort of help. "My second question, how many more Titan shifters are there?" Optimus asked. Bertolt immediately grew quiet. Optimus merely tightened his grip on the syringe, and Bertolt could have sworn he heard a crack. "There are 9. Bertolt shouted, "There are 9 Titan shifters and Ren might have the powers of 2. "So there are 8 instead," Optimus muttered to himself. "My final question, how does a human become a Titan shifter?" Bertolt didn't say anything once more before looking up at Optimus. "You don't want to know that." "I am fully aware that humans can become Titans," Optimus explained. "That doesn't explain how a human becomes a Titan shifter." "And you don't want to know the second part," Bertolt proclaimed. "Why is that?" Optimus asked. "It's not exactly pleasant," Bertolt proclaimed. "Answer the question," Optimus ordered, "now." Bertolt took a deep breath and looked Optimus in the eyes. "In order for a human to become a Titan shifter, they must become a Titan and eat another Titan shifter." Hanji rested her head on the table while Erwin tapped his fingers. Hanji jolted awake and Erwin snapped out of his thoughts when Optimus opened the door with a look of fear on his face. "We need to go to Cena, now," Optimus declared. "What about Bertolt?" Erwin asked as Hanji rubbed her eyes. "I asked Mobila to watch him and Reeves' son for the time being," Optimus explained. "I administrated the energon in his systems and it seems to have reversed the effects of the dark energon for the time being. But we need to go now." "What's going on?" Hanji asked as she stood up. "I'll explain on the way, meet me in my out form outside," Optimus merely answered as he deactivated the holoform. Bertolt sighed in relief as the marks on his arm were mostly gone. His fingers still didn't grow back and there were some marks on his hand, but the energon did work. Bertolt looked up at the ceiling of his cell as he heard a strange noise fade away. Now that the hand was better, he could try to find a way to escape. Armin gripped the rifle that Megatron returned to him from earlier as they continued north towards the chapel. Meanwhile, Megatron had changed the holoform's clothing back to the original design and had his shield on his back. The cadet thought hard about what the woman said. It was odd that around the same time while Maria fell, the royal family except for Rod Rice was slaughtered. The question was why? Armin looked at Megatron as he continued to march on. He had a feeling he thought something was off as well. Can one of you tell me the importance of the history, girl? Megatron spoke, causing Armin to stiffen. What do you mean? Armin slightly stuttered. I have an idea of why Ice would want Prime's pet, but I know nothing of the girl, Megatron explained. Why did the girl go into the military instead of living an extravagant lifestyle, especially since she's royalty? Apparently she's the daughter of a mistress, Mikasa answered. She did live in Walsina, but when Maria fell, her mother was killed by the military police. She was going to be killed too, but her father made her take another name and join the military. So she's a bastard, Megatron concluded. That's a little harsh, Mikasa admitted. A child born from two humans not married to each other, Megatron said, that's the definition of a bastard, and she fits right into that category. That doesn't explain why her creator suddenly wants to come back into her life, or why he came for her when that creature first attacked when he lost his other family. That is strange, Armin agreed. Why would Rod suddenly come after her now? So then do you think bandits attacked the chapel? Mikasa asked. I believe not, Megatron admitted. The bandit story might have been an easy cover-up, but I believe someone who was aware of the secrets of the walls came after them. I don't know if there's anyone else here that knows about the Titans, Mikasa said. What about her? Megatron exclaimed in surprise as he jolted and covered his right ear. What the? Armin exclaimed. Are you alright? Mikasa asked. Stop shouting in my receptors. Megatron yelled. Prime, you're talking too fast! You want me to what? Armin and Mikasa stared in confusion as Megatron began ranting in his own language. The two looked at each other wondering if they should stop him, but both silently agreed against it. Mikasa then caught something out of the corner of her eye and pulled Armin behind a set of bushes. The two looked over and saw the back of a chapel. I think we found it, Armin declared. Armin and Mikasa turned to see Megatron a little calmer, but he still had an irritated look on his face. He stared at the two before saying something and taking his hand off the holoform's ear. What's going on? Mikasa demanded. Don't worry about it. I'll explain later, Megatron answered as he looked at the chapel. We'll investigate this for now. Megatron walked through the bushes, causing Armin and Mikasa to follow him. The ex-con found an open window on the side and pushed it before jumping inside. Mikasa followed after him, but stopped to help Armin hop through the window. It looks small, Armin commented. Looks are deceiving, Megatron proclaimed. We should search the perimeter to find any secret passages. The three split off and began to search the small chapel. Megatron checked the furnace placed at the front while Armin and Mikasa checked under the pews. Armin walked over to another set of pews, but stopped when the rug in the middle of the chapel got caught in his shoes. Armin was about to remove it, but stopped when he noticed a corner of a hatch in the ground. I found something, Armin said as he removed the rug to reveal the small hatch. Megatron and Mikasa walked over to the hatch and kneeled down. The former warlord opened it, revealing a stairway that led downward. Megatron pulled out the pistol he had and turned his attention to the two. Stay close to me and proceed with caution. The two nodded their head before following Megatron down the stairs. They noticed a few torches light as they made their way down until they were all in front of a door. Megatron placed the holoform's ear on said door, listening to any possible sounds on the other side. When he determined no one was on the other side, he opened the door. Armin and Mikasa looked in awe at the sight before them. It was an enormous cave with multiple strong and steady pillars. The floor looked as smooth as marble, and the entire area seemed to be glowing a silver-like color. It's beautiful, Armin spoke. This isn't natural, Megatron proclaimed. What do you mean? Mikasa asked. Underground caves don't have this good of a structure, Megatron explained, and whatever this stuff is clearly not normal minerals. At least for your world. Ackerman, your rifle. Mikasa handed Megatron her rifle before slamming the butt plate of it into the wall, causing shards to fall on the ground. Megatron picked one of them up and examined it closely. A Cybertronian might even mistaken this for energon, Megatron added. How do you know that? Armin asked. Megatron glanced at Armin as he handed the rifle back to Mikasa. I wasn't always a gladiator. Armin looked in confusion as Megatron picked up the other shards. Megatron wasn't always a gladiator? So then what was he before? Many lower-class citizens were forced into manual labor. They were practically slaves to masters down there. Many have died due to horrific working conditions and abuse, Optimus answered. Megatron must have been one of the manual laborers, Armin realized. That would explain Megatron's disdain of their government. We don't have time to investigate the entire area, Megatron proclaimed. It's too large, and I doubt they'd keep Lionheart in here. It doesn't look like there are enough hiding spaces. So where would we look now? Mikasa asked. The only thing we can do for now is leave the building and continue searching the area, Megatron proclaimed. Let's move. Marlowe and Hitch grunted as Levi threw the two of them to the ground. The two groaned before gasping as Jean and Connie aimed their guns at them. Levi searched through their belongings before finding their badges and a notebook before going over the information. Private Marlowe Sand and Hitch Ease, assigned to the military police in the Stohus district. You two are recruits, you don't have much access to more sensitive information, but you two do know the basics at the very least. Captain Levi, in the flesh. Marlowe thought. Sir, Nefa began, we can take their clothing and pose as them, possibly find out where their hideouts are. Good, we should get moving then, Levi declared before turning to the two cadets, and as for you two. Captain! Sasha exclaimed as she ran over to him, Mikasa and Armin are not here. Where are they? Levi demanded. I don't know, Sasha answered, but the shield is gone. Levi could have sworn that he heard something inside of him snap as he tore the badges that he was holding. That bastard! Captain? Nefa spoke. That buckethead thought he could blackmail me and go off on his own while taking Armin and Mikasa. Levi realized. He was going to kill him. Congratulations, brats, Levi sneered at Marlowe and Hitch, you two get to live, and you're going to help us navigate through here and find some hideouts or I slice off your head. Megatron continued going through the forest, mindful of any possible traps that might be in the area. He then looked behind him and noticed that the Ackerman and the boy were lagging behind a little. He stopped in his tracks before looking at the sky. It appeared the night was coming once more on this world. We're taking a break, Megatron told the two, causing them to look at him with bewilderment. But shouldn't we keep moving? The Ackerman questioned. I can keep moving until this form reaches its limit, Megatron corrected, but I do notice that the both of you are tired. That was something I should have taken into consideration. Why would you care about that? The boy asked. Because if you're dead, my head ends up on a stick, Megatron answered as he sat down on a log with his back facing them. We'll move when it's dark. Megatron heard rustling behind him and assumed that the two sat down. He then went over what Optimus told him before the three went into the chapel. Apparently his pet was going to be eaten? That would explain why Titans would eat humans, but that doesn't explain why the man wants him instead of that Lionheart girl. What he would kill to see that brat in a broken state. The brat angers him more than that female human under the Autobots' care that killed one of his top Insecticons. His thoughts then went back to the day he first arrived, when the boy punched a Titan causing all of the other ones to devour it. The Titans were mindless beasts, yet they devour a Titan when Prime's pet punches it. Megatron widened his eyes in realization before sighing in irritation. That's why he's so valuable, he can control other Titans. Megatron glanced back at the two humans with him. They were sitting next to each other, whispering something he couldn't quite hear. He then looked down at the ground and at the holoform's hands. What was he doing? What was wrong with him? If someone never told him before he called off the war that he would work with his sworn enemy and a bunch of humans, he would have punched them in the face before killing them. Brutally. Yet here he was now. Was he going mad? Megatron pinched the bridges of the holoform's nose and groaned quietly. He didn't know why he was still questioning this. He knew the exact reason of why he was here. At least the Ackerman was tolerable and the boy was cooperative. But the boy reminded him of. Megatron sighed. Any longer on this world and he may truly go mad. Megatron, the Ackerman began, what were you yelling about earlier? Megatron stared at the Ackerman before turning away. Nothing you need to concern yourself with. This is something we should be concerned about, the boy said. I'm not the one who volunteered to go on a solo mission, Megatron retorted. I only brought Ackerman along because she's the only one who tolerates my existence and know what Lionheart looks like. No one bothered to give me a description on her. But we're here, and we deserve to know, the boy declared. Megatron rolled his eyes before facing the two completely. Apparently, the history girl's father wants to eat Prime's pet in order to gain his power. Megatron waited for the two to respond, but didn't hear anything. So he looked up and noticed the Ackerman walking towards him with rage in her eyes. We need to go after him, she declared as she stood in front of him. Megatron merely stared at her, clearly not amused. No. No? The Ackerman exclaimed, humanity's last hope is going to be killed and you don't want to save him? Like the brat was ever your world's last hope, Megatron deadpanned, and besides my mission to find Lionheart still stands. It's also too dangerous for me to grab him at this time. He's most likely heavily guarded and I can't reveal my true form. Not to mention the fact that you're still labeled as criminals. And while we wait here, Ran may be devoured. The Ackerman shouted. My cause, stop. The boy pleaded. Someone's awfully passionate, Megatron remarked, a little more passionate than when I threaten your family. My cause, the boy hissed, as he grabbed her shoulder and pulled her back. Either way, I'm not going after him, Megatron declared. Megatron noticed the Ackerman grinding her teeth. Fine, then I'm going alone. My cause, stop. The boy pleaded as the Ackerman walked away from the two of them and grabbed her rifle. You're letting your emotions get the better of you, Megatron remarked. The fact that you won't do anything to save him is what's frustrating. The Ackerman exclaimed. Look, I get that you have romantic feelings for the brat, but going head first into blind territory with nothing but a rifle is a little bit foolish, Megatron proclaimed. The Ackerman stopped in her tracks and looked at Megatron. How did you? Just because I became heartless doesn't mean I'm ignorant about romance, Megatron explained. Ackerman, you're letting your emotions for the boy cloud your judgment. That's going to lead you to become careless. And careless opponents are dead ones. I still have to go find him before it's too late, my cause declared. Ackerman, Megatron began as he stood up, think this through, you're only a child facing an army. How many can you take down by yourself before you are killed? You have no plan, no backup, and you're choosing to go in blind all for the sake of love. I can't go through it again, the Ackerman muttered as her grip tightened on the rifle. I can't lose them again. My cause, the boy quietly said. Megatron gave an unreadable expression as he thought of his former tick. He sighed as he walked towards her and put a hand on her shoulder. Ackerman, Megatron began, my cause, look at me. My cause glanced at the hand on her shoulder before turning her gaze to him. If the boy cares enough for you, I don't think he would want you to rush into danger, Megatron said, but you need to put these childish thoughts and emotions to rest while on the battlefield. Don't act like a child or it will get you killed. You need to act like a soldier. Do you understand me? My cause turned her gaze away from him before nodding her head. If we do find him, I will try to retrieve him. If not, we will have to regroup with the rest of your comrades. Do you understand? Megatron said. My cause nodded her head, allowing Megatron to let go of her shoulder. He looked up at the sky and noticed it was a darker shade of blue. We need to move, Megatron declared, before turning his attention to the boy, who was clearly looking at him in shock. Do you have any romantic feelings for Prime's pet that I should know about? Megatron demanded. And no, the boy stuttered, we're just friends. Good, I don't want to deal with a lover's quarrel right now, Megatron said, mainly to himself. Hold on, stop, stop, stop right now. Angie exclaimed as she slammed her hands on Optimus' dashboard in the passenger seat. Rice is going to eat Tren? Bertholdt said that the transfer to becoming a Titan shifter requires a human becoming a Titan and eating a Titan shifter already in existence, Optimus explained through the radio. That might explain why Titans always eat humans, Erwin added in the driver's seat. It doesn't explain why there are only 8 in existence. I wish I knew as well, Optimus admitted. Fucking hell, we just handed Dren right over to them. Angie realized before gripping her hair. Can you drive any faster? I do have to be careful and make sure no one spots us, Optimus reminded. We just need to get to the media source you mentioned earlier, Erwin told Angie. From there we can figure something out. We need to figure this out quickly before Ren is devoured, Optimus declared. Angie looked through the side view mirror to see the sun setting. We better do it quick. Who knows when Ren's going to be eaten? Can you two see? Megatron asked as they made their way through the forest in the dark. Yes, Mikaza responded while Armin was still in shock about what happened earlier. What the fucking hell was that? Megatron suddenly concerned for a human's well-being. Even addressing Mikaza by her first name? He doesn't even call anyone by their names. Was that another deception or was it pure honesty? What was ... what is the real Megatron? Megatron wasn't a gladiator or a revolutionary or a warlord anymore. He was skilled with deception, so he could easily put up a front with anyone. How would he be able to tell if he was lying? The only other person that would be able to read him was ... Optimus. You want to kill me, then go ahead, Megatron said as he stretched his arms out, leaving his chest wide open. You'd be doing many others a favor. Optimus growled, I do not know who to trust anymore, so if you wish to prove to me that you are an ally, then drop your sword. Now. Megatron gave Optimus an unreadable expression before letting the sword slip out of his grasp and fall to the ground. Optimus asked me to go find Lionheart. Like Optimus is going to let me leave this planet? Megatron replied, and I already told, I'm not into conquest and oppression anymore. I don't know, Megatron interrupted, clearly irritated. Enough with the questions. This is the first time I can't tell what's going through his head. Does he not want to get humans involved? Is questioning his loyalty? Does he just hate me that much to put me through this hell? If you ruin this, I swear. Armin felt his heart stop as the pieces came together. Megatron wasn't helping humanity out of redemption or good deed. He was helping humanity because he was trying to make things right with Optimus. Get down, Megatron ordered as he kneeled down behind a bush. Mikaza and Armin followed suit as they heard the sounds of horses. They watched the horse riders make their way towards a 3-story house guarded by the military police. We need to get inside, Megatron declared. It's heavily guarded, Armin retorted. How would we get in? I'm not sure, Megatron admitted. We may have to kill some of them and hide their bodies in order to get inside. There are too many guards here, so they must be holding something valuable. Possibly Lionheart. If we kill one, then it might alert the others, Mikaza retorted. Then you two will stay here, Megatron declared as he stood up and placed his shield on his left arm. Before Megatron could make a move, Armin quickly grabbed his right arm. Armin! Mikaza hissed. You can't! Armin exclaimed. Megatron raised an eyebrow in confusion. What do you mean I can't? I know it's not difficult for you, but what if you make a mistake? Armin questioned. What if someone is able to damage this form? Listen, Pax, I'm under direct orders to make sure you and your friend don't end up dead, Megatron retorted. But charging into battle like this? Armin questioned. Didn't you say earlier that this was careless? For her, Megatron countered as he gestured to Mikaza. If I get shot in the back, I don't die. I'm not in any immediate danger. But we are. Once the military police realize that there's another metal titan here, Armin retorted as he looked Megatron dead in the eye. Megatron, you can't rush into battle like that. Armin could have sworn he felt Megatron stiffen in his grip. The cadet noticed a surge of brief emotions passing through Megatron's face, most of which he couldn't make out. Megatron then gave Armin an irritated look before pulling his arm away. "Fine," Megatron sneered, "what do you propose?" Armin grew a little hesitant. He didn't expect the Decepticon to listen. Megatron growled. "Well? Sorry," Armin apologized, "I remember doing experiments with Hanji about a Titan's ability. A Titan shifter can't transform in cramped spaces due to the possibility of the body not completely forming. Annie would most likely be in a basement area to prevent a transformation and her escape. So we head underground once more," Megatron concluded. "It looks like there are some pillars on the building we can hide behind before we find a way inside," Mikasa pointed out. Megatron noticed the guards in the front of the building were chatting with one another. Megatron beckoned Mikasa and Armin to follow him as they made their way across the field and to the side of the house. Megatron and Mikasa jumped over the gate before Mikasa helped Armin over. The three of them then ran and each hid behind one pillar, waiting to see if any guards would come around the corner. Armin then noticed a window on the ground and pointed to it. "There." Megatron saw the window and rushed over to it, trying to pry it open. Mikasa then heard some chatter coming around the corner. "Someone's coming," Mikasa warned. "Don't rush me," Megatron ordered before managing to pry the window open. Mikasa quickly jumped inside while Armin climbed in after her. Megatron jumped in and closed the window as the two guards made their way around the side. "Okay, we're inside. Do we check every room in the area?" Megatron asked. The three stopped when they heard someone whimpering down the hall. "There's someone here," Mikasa realized. "Check every room," Megatron ordered. The three ran down the hall and checked every room on the basement floor. Megatron then noticed a knight's armor in one of the rooms, holding a sword. Megatron quickly grabbed it and put it in his sheath before running out the room. Armin reached the end of the hall and opened the door to the last room, leading to even more sets of stairs and a door at the bottom. "I found another room," Armin whispered. Megatron and Mikasa ran towards Armin's position and saw the door at the bottom of the stairs. Megatron took the lead and walked down the stairs while Mikasa and Armin followed. When Megatron reached the door, he noticed that there was a lock pad on it. Megatron ripped the lock pad off the door and opened the door. "It would seem we found our target," Megatron declared. Mikasa and Armin looked over Megatron's shoulder and widened their eyes in horror. What they saw was a whimpering Annie in a light blue shirt and ripped brown pants. With her arm fully regenerated. Well, that's the ending of that chapter. I do hope you enjoy this video. If you like to see more, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel and leave a comment down below. Until next time.